Coach, Sasha just told me something really interesting. He said that this team, when it makes mistakes, lets other teams punish them. Yet when you guys have the chance to punish opponents, you don't capitalize. So how do you find that punishing edge?
Yeah, I think the first edge is to find not allowing opposition to punish us. I mean, the first goal, again, as I said, it's a long ball. We head it back into the middle of the field. Their player picks it up and, puts it in the back of our net. We had the ball in the middle of the field. We need to head the ball to the outside so we don't put ourselves into a problematic situation. That's the first goal. The second ball, again, comes out in transition, again, because our attention to detail in the transition is still loose. We're not close enough to guys. We try to then react and get close to guys. Then we get played around and they get on the other side of us. The ball gets to Reynoso. Reynoso's left-footed. We let him cut back into his left foot. Good player, puts the ball in the back of the net, right? 2 mistakes, 2 goals. There's some other things and a couple of things in the set defending that have to do with numbers that we don't sort out, but that doesn't kill us. That's just stuff we have to clean up. But mistakes kill us. We head the ball to them, they score. They punish us. We let a guy cut back to his left foot who has an incredible left foot, maybe the best in the league, and he buries it on us. And so those are 2 mistakes. Those are 2 goals. So you can talk about punishing the opposition. We talk about everything, but we're already playing down 2-0, and the opposition doesn't have to come out. They don't have to do anything other than protect their goal and protect their half of the field for the next 75 minutes. And the most difficult task in the game is to break down a team who can just sit and protect their goal and doesn't have to necessarily open themselves up. Having said that, we got into some good spots. We had some attacks that looked like they were about to be dangerous. We played a lot of the game in their half the field. The final pass, the working in the box, the building the speed in the final action, the timing of everything, the speed of everything, and the execution of everything wasn't sharp enough for us to put balls into the back of the net against a team that, again, was now very compact and could play to defend their goal. Again, having said that, there was some good ball circulation and we got into some good spots. Nothing turned into the net. And with that much possession, you're probably going to give some counterattack moments here or there. But again, it's, as I said to you, how we defend in the transition and the counter, it was problematic at times tonight just because guys rest in bad areas instead of going and getting tight to players and making sure that when the ball comes out, there are 2 options, really. You're either tight enough to recover the ball, right? Or to keep the player facing backwards, I'll give you 3 and force the game away, or you foul and the game ends and everybody gets behind the ball and it's done. We don't foul. We show up late. They play around us. They build numbers and speed into the attack. And then we're in these massive recovery runs. It's all because we don't start in the right defensive transition positions, right? So, and that's where they got their chances kind of from then on out. In the second half, we push for the game. We rotate to try to get some numbers in front of the goal, to try to get into some crossing positions. We take more risk because we're down 2-0. The transition that ends up being the 3rd goal, I thought he was offside, but then I recognize that Sam is in a little bit deeper position on the near side that kind of throws the line off a little bit, and then it becomes 3-0. So, but yeah, there's details inside of these games that now they're real, right? They're real because there's 10 games to go. As I said to the guys tonight, this is maybe the first game of the season that felt like it had a playoff feel to it. The temperature is starting to get a little bit cooler. The opposition didn't make mistakes that we could punish them. We didn't do enough to hurt them, and we made mistakes and they punished us. That's what a big time game is like. That's what a playoff game is like. You can't make mistakes, and you have to make goals on the other side work. So every one of our guys, most of our guys got a chance tonight to get out there and do something. They felt what the intensity was like. They felt what the environment is like. And over the next 9 games, we have to lock in on who can win the games and the big nights and the tough nights. And that's the task that I said to the guys, right?
Who's going to As you look for those answers moving forward, now you have a week of training with everyone back. What will be the priority?
Yeah, again, I think we have to stop conceding goals. So that's the first thing. Yes, we have to score goals, but if we concede the first goal, the second goal every time, then the opposition has no incentive to come out and open up spaces and give us the space that we would like to have to punish them and to bury them, And so, again, the concessions of goals is a problem. Some of that has to do with transition play. Some of that has to do with just our defensive play and being more secure. If a ball comes to my head and I don't have an action, that I head it as far as I can, or I head it out of bounds. Like it just has to be more I don't know, attention to detail again on the defending side. Sometimes less risk, when I'm in a not great situation, kick the ball 30 yards and reset if there's not a great solution. But it's just, again, there's those things that we have to lock in. But I think most importantly at this point, we're not getting into a position where players are going to get a lot better in the next stretch. We need to find the group that cannot make mistakes, that can execute now. We're not in a development phase anymore. We're in an execution phase. And the guys that are going to be on the field are the guys who can execute in these games one-off, like the next 9 games or playoff games.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
We'll go with Josh Gessman.
Hey, Greg, thanks for talking to us. 0-3-3 in the last 6. A lot of success maybe earlier in the season and now struggling through these last ones. Are we seeing a regression in the Galaxy? Are we seeing other teams get better? Where do you sort of let that fall over the last 10 games or so?
Yeah. Well, I think we're getting punished for our mistakes. I think, again, I still think that there are a handful of teams in the Western Conference, I'd say 4 probably that come to the top of my head, that I think are very experienced senior teams that they make you beat them and they don't beat themselves. And I would put Minnesota in that group, Seattle in that group, right? Colorado has proven to be in that group. These teams don't beat themselves. You have to beat them. And if you make mistakes, then you're on the wrong side of the game quickly, right? And these are the teams that we're trying to, I'm sure, Kansas City, I put them in that group. Sorry, I didn't put them in there. But I put those group of teams as mature teams that just don't make mistakes. And our group over the course of the season is we make too many mistakes, which makes us very vulnerable, right? And in games in the past, we've been able to get the first goal, which maybe allows us at times to build a little momentum and things. And this last stretch, I don't know when we really got the first goal and held on to it for any period of time that the opposition had to expose themselves a little bit. We're conceding the first goal too often, right? And then those teams are just locking it down on us and making it difficult for us to score. So that's one of the issues. Second is, now that we got everybody back, we've got to get some timing, some continuity, some flow, some rhythm back into our game. The speed at which we attack, the timing at which things are happening, all this stuff needs to tighten up. That guys are here. So again, we're at that stage, and this team needs to go through this stage of the season together as a group, and they're going to need to suffer a little bit, and hopefully they're going to find some great moments. But this is where you find out in these last 10 games what this league is really about. The first 20 games, and some of that is you're learning the ebbs and flows of the league. You're learning what the summer grind is about. But the last 10 games is where you find where the level of the league is at, and where players are in their readiness to be able to win playoff games, to win championship games, to win the biggest one. This is where we're going to find out a little bit of where we're at and who needs to keep progressing, which we have a good sense, and who's ready to win games.
I know you have 2 more games on the road until you get a home game, and the balance of the next 9 games are on the road than at home. What does that mindset have to be? I mean, you talked about this is the playoffs. This is the lead up to the playoffs. What do you need to see from the guys in that mindset going forward here?
Yeah, again, there's as I said to you, there's a stinginess. There's a little bit of that mentality where you're in a position to clear the ball. It doesn't need to be cute. It doesn't need to be something different. We're on the road. We're in a difficult place to play. You play with a certain level of security and just maturity. It's not even about anything else. Also, just kind of a level of toughness and competitiveness and making a statement with your presence in the game. Some of that, again, that's playing on the road in the stretch and down this stretch when teams are, every team is playing for something now. The standings are pretty clear. You're either playing to get yourself into the playoffs, you're playing to position yourself in the playoffs, or you're playing to set yourself up to try to win a championship, and you're trying to find your level right now. And so every game feels a lot different than it did for the first 20 or so, because now the standings are starting to be clear. There's only so many games left. We play against each other in our conference so much. So there's really only so many points that actually impact the standings right now. And so again, everything matters, and we have to eliminate mistakes. And some of the eliminating mistakes is just by sheer security sometimes, right? But again, it's attention to detail. It's part of the growth of this group that needs to happen.
Thanks, Greg. Travel safe.
Thank you. Is that everyone?
Greg, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks, everyone. Yeah.
Hey, Seb, thanks for joining us. We'll start with questions from Nikki K. Nikki, go ahead.
Sebastian, what was the message in the locker room after this loss?
I mean, obviously, we're all very, very disappointed. Defensively, I think there's things that we need to be better at. I mean, we just concede way too many goals. It's just too easy for opponents. There was a lot of good spells in there, and I think we showed a little bit more urgency, but it's hard to look at the positives today. It's there's just a lot. We got to go back to the drawing board a bit. There's just details in there that we're missing right now, and that are crucial for us moving forward. And we have to have that playoff mentality. And this is kind of the survival. I mean, this is the last 9 games now, or last 10 games before this one. And we need to mature as a group.
You've been around a lot of guys who have that killer instinct with your international play, and as this roster starts to tighten, the lineup starts to tighten, and you kind of get into your playoff form. What do you want to see from the guys you're sharing the pitch with in terms of that killer instinct?
Yeah, I mean, it is getting to that point of the season where I think Greg will tighten up the squad, and unfortunately, we, because of international duty or injuries, we haven't. This is, I think, the first time we were really all together. That's one thing we said before the game. We're like, we're all looking around, and this is the group that's going to get it done. And so now moving forward, I think it's going to get tighter, and guys need to play for for their spots, and there's no spot that's taken. Everybody has to kind of be accountable, and we have to hold each other accountable, and that's kind of the message that's going around.
Thanks, safe travels.
Thank you.
Go with Josh Guessman.
Hey, Seba, thanks for talking to us. Greg talked about the last 9 games and how really the first 20 games, you sort of get an idea of what MLS is, but really the teams now that you're facing, everybody's trying to round into that playoff form, trying to get into playoffs. This is a team that missed the playoffs in 2017. It's a team that missed the playoffs last year. I mean, is there an understanding that, years before this, the Galaxy made the playoffs every year, and that it's very important to sort of reach that peak headed towards these last 9 games?
I think there's, when you wear the Galaxy crest, or at least, I've been here for a good while now, and I've always felt the pressure in a good way of knowing what I need to do and do my part to live up to. And sometimes I've failed, and sometimes the group has failed, and sometimes we've succeeded, and we've gotten close, and but yeah, this is. We have to be better, and I know historically this team or this club has won a lot, and but the level has increased, and we need to grow with it, and I do still believe we have the squad to do it, but this is just a big learning curve for us as a group, and we need to stay composed. I'm emotional right now. I'm disappointed, and but we just got to stay composed, and there is a chance to bounce back, and that's we just got to move forward.
There seems to be, and maybe I'm seeing too much of this, so correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems there's these lackadaisical starts, right? You guys give up goals, then whenever you give up goals, it makes you sort of come out of your game plan, as Greg talked about. Playing against teams that are able to sit back and defend and be compact is not a way to win games. Is it a slow start? Is it a lackadaisical start? Is it not that at all, and it's just you guys sort of trying to build into the game?
Yeah, I think it's a mix of those. I think throughout the season we've had a mix of everything you just mentioned. But now it's like, I think it's just a mentality thing where you just can't, like, defensively we need to defend for our lives. Like, we have to pretend like the other team has our food. And we say it in Spanish in the locker room, but it's like, we need to act like animals out there. Like, we do not concede goals, and then we just do. And then of course it messes up our game plan. And, and then now we're playing catch up, and it's 5 minutes in the game, and it's just, it's impossible. It's impossible sometimes. And it just defeats you, your morale. And it's, so that part just needs to get better, collectively.
I think that's it for me. Safe travels. Thanks, Seba.
Thanks.
We have one more question from Katia. I think it'll be in Spanish, so Katia, go ahead.
Gracias, Vicky. Sebas, un poquito de lo que decías, si nos podías compartir justo en español lo que se dicen entre ustedes y lo que está faltando en este momento en el grupo para poder conseguir esos resultados.
Sí, no, en el grupo, bueno, estamos muy enojados en nosotros mismos y, bueno, sabemos que tenemos que ser mejor defensivos más que nada. Sabemos que tenemos buenos jugadores, un muy buen técnico, muy buen todo, pero lo tenemos que mostrar y tenemos que morir en la cancha. Pero los otros equipos están metiendo muchos goles en contra de nosotros. Es muy fácil y es muy difícil jugar así. Entonces es algo que tenemos que mejorar y bueno, lo sabemos. Hoy no fue nuestro día, pero bueno, ahora tenemos una semana para trabajar.